And we're live. I'm Don. It's late. I'm up. Hi. How the heck are you? Back again Back once again. That's probably the right words to put that in. Oh boy, we're already off to a strong start. Anyways, tonight we're going to be watching the Stephen King Machines Come to Life masterpiece. I don't know if it's a masterpiece. I enjoy it. It's critically panned, but it's a cult classic. Maximum Overdrive. Written and directed by King, King's only directorial effort. Also soundtrack by AC/DC. The album Who Made Who was actually the soundtrack to this. So lots of banging soundtrack, good cast, ridiculous, utterly absurd plot. But it's a good time. It's fun. We talked about it the other night. Our friend Kal-El Daly asked the chat when we were watching Room 237 what he thought, what films that we like that other people don't, but we stand up for. So a couple people in the chat and myself both immediately went to Maximum Overdrive. Big fan of the film, but like I say, critics hated it. So we can talk about all that while we watch it. It is currently playing on Prime, so you can stream it there. Hey, our friend Jason is here. He is one of the people who said that he enjoyed Maximum Overdrive as a movie that other people didn't like, and he did. As you can see, he freaking loves this movie. So right on, Jason's here. Glad you could make it, buddy. You were on my mind when I picked it. Yeah, like I was saying the other night during one of our chats, last night we Last night we watched Late Night with the Devil. The night before we watched They Live. The night before we watched 237. Then no. Last night was Late Night with the Devil. Then They Live. Then Room 237. Before that, Big Trouble in Little China. As you can see, I've been watching the hell out of some movies on this channel. So if you'd like to watch some with me, feel free to check out the back catalog or settle in and watch Maximum Overdrive with me now. Hey, our friend Matt is here, and he's awake. Welcome. Matt lives across an ocean, so frankly, anytime he makes an appearance, it's pretty dang awesome. Jason lives across an ocean too, but he's a right-hand man, so I expect him to be here. I check attendance for him. But as I was saying, I'm going to watch this on Amazon Prime tonight. It's free. It is an hour and 38 minutes. So I figure if we get started here shortly, it'll be wrapping up shortly after 3. That's our usual time slot, 1:30 a.m. to 3, 2:30 a.m. to 4. If you're on the East Coast, do the other measurements yourself. But Matt says, for how long? So there's a suspense of how long Matt will be with us. Be sure to join to see how long Matt can take the film. I don't need to watch this movie. The film lives rent-free in my head. Exactly. It's fantastic. I first saw this, 1987 or so. It came out in 86, so I saw it when it came out on video. All I had heard about it before I saw it was that it was awful, so I couldn't wait to see it. Mayanne is here. Welcome, Mayanne. Mayanne also was privy to know that this was going to be on tonight. She messaged me earlier and asked if I was going to be watching anything, and I let her know Maximum Overdrive. So this is a first-time watch for her, so this will be a fun ride, pardon the pun. Jason says, hey, Mayanne. Hey, Don, Ginger, Matt. Everybody's welcome each other. I like when everybody's friendly. I like that. A lot of nice people here, always playing nicely. So yeah, I'm going to watch this on Amazon Prime. You can find it there. I'll give you a couple minutes here to get loaded up as folks file in and say hi. But starring Emilio Estevez, Pat Hingle, better known as Commissioner Gordon in the Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher Batman series. So Laura Harrington is the woman in this. I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything else. We'll do a deep dive on her filmography as we go along, and I don't know if she's ever been in anything else. In addition to this being both highly entertaining and highly schlocky, there's a lot of gossip and backstories that went along with this film. So lots to talk about with this one. Oh, that's right, Lisa Simpson. So yeah, we can't forget Yardley Smith is in this. King and Coke, say no more. Exactly. We will talk about Stephen King's debauchery during this. This was, like I say, written and directed by Stephen King. This is the only one I believe he directed. In general, it's considered one of his lesser films. It is currently rated a 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes, it is a 14% by the critics. Ouch. Let's see what the audience gives it. Audience gives it a 50%. So 1 out of every 2 normal people likes it, but critics not so much. 14%, that's brutal. And on Letterboxd, it has an average of 2.6 out of 5. So yeah, it's very middling. Yeah, I believe that's the only reviews that we have going on here. It was a budget of $9 million, and it made 7.4 at the box office. So big flop, big flop. But yeah, it's fun. That's the thing. It's one of those movies where if you like it, you enjoy the heck out of it, no matter what anybody else says. But if you don't like it, it's real easy to get on the bandwagon against it. So Mayan found it on Prime. Nice. Oh, Giancarlo Esposito is in this too. You know, I do remember that. I forget he's in this, but now that you say that, I do recall he's like playing video games or something. He's one of the people in the truck stop, as I recall. Stephen King also has a small cameo appearance, as well as a few other handful of people that are fun. Jason says, $9 million budget, $8 million on coke. Exactly. Stephen King openly admits he was coked out of his mind when he made this movie, and he barely remembers any of it. And that kind of makes it fun to me. You know what I mean? It's like, well, a total madman was in charge of making this. Not to mention that most people who made this movie with him said that he would begin drinking at the 6 a.m. when he would arrive, and by 8:30 a.m. when shooting started, he would usually be on his 10th beer. He would also drink all through the day and drink into the editing at night. But apparently it was a fun time. He was a cordial host, like the people that were all on set. He would host films like Godzilla, Night of the Living Dead, etc., and he would talk over them, kind of like I'm doing. And yeah, in general, it's got, well, we'll talk about Night of the Living Dead as we watch it. But let's see, it's 1:39. I think we're getting ready to, we should probably hit play here. I think we should probably hit play. That sounds like a great idea. So I'm going to go ahead and press play in 3, 2, 1. All right, there we go. So I haven't been watching movies on Prime since they went to commercials. I don't think I have any, but yep, no commercials are starting off. Good deal. Captioning made possible by Lionsgate. So Lionsgate, a seal of approval right there. Also, Studio Canal is one of the production companies up front. Also, this was Dino De Laurentis, the De Laurentis Entertainment Group, DEG. Yep, there's their production card there. So we're on our third production card. Last night's feature, Late Night with the Devil, had a whopping 10 up front. What's this, Orion? Oh, no, so it's the start of the movie. Nice. I was afraid this was going to be an Orion edition as well. Dino De Laurentis present. Dino De Laurentis was this Italian, I believe, producer. He was known primarily for being like big-minded. You know, he always had, he always wanted to do things bigger than he possibly had the money for. But he's known for, oh boy, let's see, let's dig into some Dino De Laurentis here. The movie starts off with a title, an introduction card, and it says, on June 19th, 1987 at 9:47 a.m., Earth passed into the extraordinarily diffused tail of Rhea M, a rogue comet. According to astronomical calculations, the planet will remain in the tail of the comet for the next 8 days, 5 hours, and 29. I often compare this to Night of the Living Dead. The same kind of plot happens. A comet passes by, and because of that, the dead come to life. But in this movie, machines come to life. It takes place in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is, the movie takes place in Wilmington, North Carolina, but it also takes, that's where it was filmed. North Carolina is a state that's, you don't need to be in a union to work there. Oh, and just as I say that, here's Stephen King to a cash station machine, and when he puts his card in, the machine calls him, "You're an asshole," and it just keeps telling him, "You're an asshole." And he turns to his wife and says, "This machine just called me an asshole." And Maximum Overdrive, AC/DC soundtrack kicks in. There's Emilio Estevez's title card or credit today. Pat Hingle. So Pat Hingle was second billing. That's interesting. I'm surprised that Laura Harrington wasn't second. She's probably the most on screen. Her and whatever Yardley Smith's husband is, Curtis. Let's see here. Let's look into some Dino De Laurentis. Let's see what my man has done. He's done everything. Let's see, where is this? Why am I not finding a link to Dino De Laurentis? It did win a or was nominated for 2 Golden Raspberry Awards, including Worst Director and Worst Actor for Emilio Estevez. So, but they both lost to Prince for Under the Cherry Moon. So, you know, if you're going to lose to somebody, lose to Prince. Why am I not finding Dino De Laurentis? Where are you? Oh, let's see here. We'll open up the Dino De Laurentis production group. DEG was an entertainment production company. Founder producer Dino De Laurentis. It's notable for producing Manhunter, so obviously that's a winner. Blue Velvet, a winner. The horror Near Dark, Evil Dead 2, King Kong Lives, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and distributed Transformers the movie, the cartoon. The company's main studios were located in North Carolina, where this is taking place. When the movie ended, Pat Hingle, who came here to be in the movie, decided to stay. And once it was ended, he moved into Wilmington, North Carolina, and stayed there for the rest of his life until he passed away. So apparently, North Carolina is a lovely place to make a movie. And here's Who Made Who by AC/DC playing. That's one of the many memorable things about this movie is it's the soundtrack is done by AC/DC, but they also do the score as well. So like this psycho stinger noise, like eek, 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 except it's all done in heavy rock and roll guitar. So now the machines have already kicked on and started doing bad stuff, and trucks driving over a drawbridge find themselves in the middle of the bridge opening, and they're about to plummet into the lake. Well, actually, they roll back on the drawbridge and they slam into each other. So there's one death, and there's a van that says AC/DC on the side. I don't know if that's supposed to be them on tour or what. And they're a motorcycle guy fell to the river. So now we got 2 dead. I don't know how many people die in this one. I wonder what the kill count is. Kill count, maximum overdrive. Oh, there are 41 deaths. Oh, wow, okay. Deaths on maximum overdrive, 41. Homicidal semi-truck, shot, blown up. Nice. Any other guesses as to how many they... Yeah, it looks like 41 is the number that everybody's going with here. All right, interesting. Yeah, that's going to say the movie itself is... it was an 80s kind of schlock classic. It was always on cable. And then later on, it was frequently a middle of the nighter on TBS and TNT because it was real cheap to purchase for these companies. It wasn't a big deal. Yeah, there's the AC/DC van. And that was weird. The AC/DC van was buried under a bunch of other cars that crashed into it. And it looked like there were dummies in the passenger and driver's seat. And they appeared to be... Oh, there we go. There's old buddy. Yeah, the guy driving the AC/DC truck appears to have some sort of red armband on. I'm assuming it's an AC/DC armband. So he's a roadie. That's what it is. He's a roadie on the way to an AC concert. It's a long drive to Australia, though. Let's see here. What do we got going on here? Man says, I'm hoping I don't fall asleep. Oh, you hang in there, man. This is a classic. Nah, you won't. This movie is fueled by coke. So much that screen. Yeah, you can rub your finger against the screen and give yourself a gummer. Our friend Russell is here. Welcome, Russell. Nice to see you, buddy. It's not a party unless Russell's here. Still awake, May. Yeah, but I'm pretty tired now. All right, I'll the watermelons. He remembers. Yeah, I'll try to hype up the energy for you, May, and I'll try to wake up a little bit here. We're at the truck station where most of this movie takes place. This is based on a short story by King called Trucks. Duh, pretty spot on name. But then later on in the 2000s, I believe, they did a prequel called Trucks. When they made it, I thought it was a remake, but it's apparently a prequel. I was unaware of that. It was also on USA Channel. I always thought it was on Sci-Fi Channel. That's where I watched it. And here's the famous truck, the one that's in all the posters, the one that confused everybody. To this day, I don't understand why the Green Goblin is in this. There's a Happy Time or Happy Toys truck or whatever, and it's this big black semi rig, and it's got the Green Goblin just huge on the front of it. So, as a kid, I thought this was going to be like a Spider-Man movie, or something to do with Spider-Man. And I remember watching all the previews and Stephen King introduced the trailer. He would come on, "I'm Stephen King," and he would explain how in his life none of his movies had been adapted properly, and he wanted to finally do it himself, and he was going to finally get it right. And he admits he has no idea what he was doing. This is one of his worst adaptations, even though he took over the reins. And there's Emilio Estevez and Pat Hingle. So both are stars right there on one. Apparently, Stephen King wanted to hire Bruce Springsteen to play this role that Estevez is playing, but Dino De Laurentis, the producer, instead hired Martin Sheen's son. If for nothing else, then he was Martin Sheen's son. I think by this point, Estevez had probably also done Repo Man. I'm sure he's done probably a couple other things before. Probably The Outsiders. I don't know. We'll look in a second. Here's the scene in the video game room that Jason was talking about, where Giancarlo Esposito, I don't know if this is his first role or not, but he's alone in the arcade at the truck stop, and they have a tabletop game of Tempest, and they have a couple pinball machines, and it all starts coming to life, and the cigarette machine starts spitting out cigarettes. So this guy's just filling his pockets full of coins and cigarettes. The things that come to life in this, there's no lot behind them. Like the truck, I can understand, it makes sense. But then the evil cash station machine, or at one point somebody gets killed by a lawnmower, which I've never understood. It's like, well, how do you get killed by a lawnmower if you don't lay down? Don't take a nap in the front lawn and you should be safe from the lawnmower. Oh yeah, here's the part where the fuel pump won't work because obviously all machines are turning against everybody. So the nozzle on the gas pump, the guy who pumps the gas for the diesel trucks is looking into the nozzle, staring into it, and he gets splashed in the eyes full of gasoline. So he spends the rest of the movie with his eyes bandaged up. This scene, the guy, after he gets his eyes splashed full of gasoline and needs to have him wrapped up, he's blinded by it. They take him into like a back room in the warehouse or in the truck stop where he can sleep, and there's like just 101 Playboy centerfolds and pictures cut out all over the wall. So I don't believe there's any nudity in this except for those scenes of old Playboys up on the wall in there. However, at one point, the producer De Laurentis got upset with Stephen King not making the main actress sexy enough. So she's wearing jeans in the early part of this, and then later on there's a scene where she changes into something a little more comfortable, but really it's more sexy because the producer wanted to see her be hotter. Oh, let's see here. Oh, all sorts of folks pouring in here. Hello, I was caught up talking about this. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. Exactly. Jason's a card carrying member of the AC/DC Army. Jason, remember the old jungle films where you hear a kookaburra laughing? Back then, never knew they were from Africa. I didn't even know that till now. I don't know, Don. You're about to lose me. I'll try to hype it up, man. Yeah, we see that. This is another part that's absurd. One of the waitress at the truck stop to buy an electric knife. I've never understood, like I can understand the knife kicking on, right? Or if she's close to it, it cutting into her, but it like turns. How? That makes no sense. Like I say, I can understand the truck driving itself, or I could even understand the lawnmower driving itself, but like the electric knife that attacks you, that doesn't make any sense. So she's had her hands all cut up, and Emilio Estevez is like the only one who cares. We've already established that Emilio works at this truck stop, I believe, maybe part of his terms of his probation or something, or he has to have a job because he's on parole or whatever. So because of that, Pat Hingle screws him out of his hours. Pat Hingle's the guy that runs the truck stop. He's a real jerk. So here's back to Giancarlo Esposito, and he's got all his pockets filled with cigarettes and coins, and he's just happy as hell. He's even got Twinkies under his hat. He's taking everything. Is this Tempest? So now Machine, one of the video games, starts to hypnotize him. The graphics on the screen start to make all this crazy hypnotic symbols, and Giancarlo's just like hypnotized by it. Giancarlo, most people know him as Gus Farang from Breaking Bad. To me, he's always the guy from Usual Suspects, the guy who deciphers this Kaiser Soze thing. And the machine electrocutes him, and he's out of the movie quick. All right, then. Nice talking to you. Giancarlo Esposito also in the new Maxine, which has a very similar font to this. Love Bond. Scott, love that. Of course you. This streamer just called me an asshole. Evening, morning. Now, welcome, Franz. Nice to have you here, buddy. Folks are welcome and friends. The cameraman lost his eye because of that lawnmower. Yeah, I was going to get to that here. They had this Italian. Apparently, the head gaffer of the film was hired specifically because Dino De Laurentis was under the assumption that he could speak Italian, which he couldn't. And he hired him specifically to help the cinematographer who only spoke Italian, translate between the cinematographer and the crew, mainly King. So imagine this. You got Stephen King coked out of his mind. You got a producer undermining everything he does. And then the cinematographer, the producer hired, and he doesn't speak any English. Hard to believe this movie didn't kill it. Oh, and speaking of killing it, here's where the baseball coach gets killed by the pop machine. The soda machine just starts shooting sodas at him. First hits him in the nuts, and then it hits him in the chest, and then I believe it starts hitting him in the face. Yeah, there it is. So now the kids on the baseball team, when he gets hit in the nuts, they think it's funny, and they start picking up. So now the Coke machine or whatever, the soda machine is just firing Coke cans at them all. So they're just like getting hit in the chest, and a bunch of the baseball players got killed by soda cans. But luckily, baseball players has one of the little league players has a catcher's mask, and this kid is he ends up throughout the whole movie. But we have to establish he's a good guy. So even though the baseball coach is clearly dead, he has to crawl over and check on him because if you just abandon old buddy, then that shows that you have bad morals. But we're going to learn he's a good guy, so he had to go check on the coach first. And another baseball player got taken out by the flying soda machine, and here comes a steamroller, and it runs him over. So there's a child smushed by steamroller at the 15-minute mark. Nice. So yeah, we're not even 16 minutes into the movie, and we've already had multiple deaths, including a child actor killed by a steamroller. Nice. Franz is nice to have Franz here. Oh my God, the magazine's behind him. Oh yeah, you saw that one. Having worked pumping gas, that's a big no-no. Yeah, never look in the little hole in the nozzle if it's not working. That's just foolish. So here we meet the heroine of the movie, the one that I said isn't sexy enough, and they sexy her up. And she's been hitchhiking, and she's riding with this like Bible salesman guy, and he's like a total sleaze bag. He keeps trying to like rub on her leg and get with her and stuff. But she's a cute 80s kind of bohemian look. She's wearing a fedora and a sport coat and stuff. She's got some buttons, got a real go-go's to her. It bit me. What's the Blu-ray right for this? It deserves an in-depth making of. I've never seen the for this. It's on VHS and DVD, but I don't believe I ever upgraded to the Blu-ray, unless it was one I bought in a dump bin and forgot about. So this movie's about objects coming to life and killing people, primarily machines, man. But yes, as you could see by some of them, just objects. It's the day the machines turned against us. In my opinion, it's a combination of two main inspirations. It's Night of the Living Dead, but instead of the dead rising and coming back to life, it's the machines that come to life. And the other one is The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock. Like Hitchcock often said, like, what happens if you just wake up one morning and all of a sudden the birds hate us? Then what? And that's kind of the plus is, what happens if the machines turn against us? At one point, the lady who was just attacked by the electric knife she's at wit's end, and she's completely loses it and starts bitching out the trucks. And she says to him, "We made you! We made you!" And if you're familiar with the AC/DC soundtrack that goes to this, that's where "Who Made Who" came from. So the creepy ass sleazy Bible salesman guy is pulled into the truck stop, and what's he call her? Like a road twitch or something like that? Some name that makes no sense. And he even says later, "Tell her the road twitch said whatever." And she told him, "Eat my shorts." To the next people who are going to show up, there's a young married couple that newlyweds that show up, and one of them is Yardley Smith, who's the voice of Lisa Simpson. She's got that real high-pitched voice. And then in this entire movie, she talks to her husband like that. And she's like this annoying nag. Curtis, don't do that, Curtis. Curtis, cover your mouth, Curtis. You can get dirty. Let's look up her. She's Laura Harrington. What else was she been in? She has 25 acting credits. That sounds about right. Her first film, or The Dark End of the Street in 1991. Never heard of it. The Joy of Sex in 1984. I saw that one. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, a future watch-along, I guarantee you. She plays Mrs. Johnson. Not My Kid in 85. Maximum Overdrive in 86. The Vern Miller Stairs, Vietnam War Story, LA Takedown, Perfect Witness, Equal Justice, Against the Law, Midnight Cabaret, Quantum Leap, a couple episodes, Dead Air. Oh, she was in The Devil's Advocate. So it looks like her last big movie was in 97. Oh, she was in Paulie, the movie about the parrot that talks like Buddy Hackett. Yeah, that was her last major motion picture, was 1998. And then she was on the TV show Providence for one episode. She's got something coming out. Oh, a short. Never mind. So, here they are. Yardley Smith and John Short, the married couple. And they've got, as you can tell, because it says "just married" in big ass letters on the back of their car. But I don't know, they're a fun couple. It's a good ensemble cast. You got the young married, you got the jaded, wearied hitchhiker girl, and a bunch of sleazy dudes, and then Emilio Estevez, who's clearly a criminal at some point, but he's also like the bad guy with the heart of gold. He's the Han Solo or whatever. I know Mayanne hasn't seen this before, and I know Jason has seen this. So any of you other folks in the chat or watching later in the comments, let me know if you've seen this one before. I consider it a bit of a cult classic. The people who follow it love it, and then there are other people who see it once and they're like, no need to watch that ever again. So Kurt and Connie pull into a gas station, and the first gas station they go to, and they see the station attendant is dead. God only knows how he was killed. Curtis? Is he dead? Yeah, I don't know. This, like I say, they build kind of an adoptive family, or whatever. The ensemble cast eventually becomes like a sort of adopted family. They all hole up together in this truck stop and survive. I think, what did I say in the beginning? 8 days it's going to last. And at one point, the trucks like force them to work. They turn the humans slaves, and they spend all day fueling up all these trucks. And it like, you would think that they were like pushing a boulder up a mountain or something. They look exhausted. They're all like sunburnt and dead, and their hands are all blistered and stuff. They make pumping gas look like the most taxing job you could possibly have. And then again, I've never filled up 100 or so semi trucks, so maybe it is. Hey, and there's Tow Mater from the Cars movie. No, it's just a lookalike Tow Mater, but that would be fun if it was. Let's see here. Echo 0. Cha, 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 cha. Hello, Echo. Echo. Folks are saying hello to Echo. This is the one movie I 100% believe needs a modern day remake. Actually, I'd read that Joe Hill is a modern writer and director, filmmaker, and that's Stephen King's son. Stephen King has this weird thing. Well, anyways, Joe Hill has talked about remaking this. I think Joe Hill's, I probably most know him for the TV show Nosferatu, the new one, like a license plate NOS 4A2. Like it's a, never mind. But anyways, Joe Hill, the reason he doesn't have Stephen King's name. Oh, Joe Hill is also the kid beginning of the Creep Show, I believe. The one who reads the comic books or whatever. Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, and he didn't want to be known as Stephen King's son because he thought the King name would both like pull him down and hold him back, but it would also make him like people would think, oh, he only got his job because he's a king. Stephen King himself went through that. When King's books got really, really popular in the 70s and then going into the 80s, King had this like crisis of confidence in himself. He decided that the only reason he sold so many books is because people liked the Stephen King brand more than they liked Stephen King or his actual work. Like he didn't even think half the people read his books. They just bought it to have his King book collection or whatever. So King invented a fake name, a pseudonym, a pen name, whatever you want to call it, Richard Bachman. So there's all these Richard Bachman stories and books that came out, and they did really well, and they ended up actually going up the bestsellers list as well. And then a lot of people figured out because of Richard Bachman's writing style that it was in fact Stephen King. So like Running Man, a lot of people know as a Stephen King story. That's a Richard Bachman story. Yeah, I don't know. The King family had some real issues with the name. They got, I don't know, they're not proud of it the way they should be, I guess. Let's see here. Cinephile Sanity is here. Good evening, Night Owl crew. Welcome, Sean. I was over on our friend Russell Texas Hardcore's channel earlier tonight. They were watching Rock and Roll High School. I almost wanted to say Rock and Roll High School Forever. Rock and Roll High School with the Ramones and PJ Souls, totally. But I believe Rock and Roll High School Forever is the sequel that has Corey Feldman. I haven't seen that one in a while. I think this is the first time I ever saw a character in a movie or anyone who just calls somebody Bubba for no reason. I've since known a lot of people from like Texas South and stuff, and they will frequently just, what are you talking about, Bubba? So now Emilio Estevez has gone out and he's kind of looking around inside the Green Goblin truck. And of course, it's all blood red inside, like the leather and everything to make it extra horrific. Once again, I'm back to my costuming ways. Like the other night when I was pseudo dressed as John Nada from They Live. Tonight I'm dressed as Emilio Estevez, in case you couldn't tell. Except he's covered in blood, thanks to that whole electric knife bit that went down earlier. Notably, he's got the left ear pierced. Looks very jarring in a movie. You don't really see it that often, unless it's a movie about like punk rockers or whatever. I wonder if he had it from all the way back when he did Repo Man. I don't know. Now's a fine time to check out Emilio Estevez's filmography, shall we? We shall. Emilio Estevez, he has... What? That can't be right. Well, I'll be damned. Emilio Estevez credits. I would have guessed he was way into the 100. I would have thought he was well over 100. That's amazing. So, but not a lot of people know he's a director also. We'll talk about that. Let me look at his IMDb first here. His first film was Badlands, which is a movie starring Martin Sheen, his dad. Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen, obviously, they both used the stage name of Sheen. Martin Sheen's real name, before he changed it to be an actor, was Martin Estevez. So Emilio Estevez, just like the Joe Hill thing, not wanting to like ride on the coattails of his dad's name, decided to go by the family name Estevez. I believe Martin Sheen's brother is also Joe Estevez or something like that. But there's another Estevez floating around. So Badlands first film. He plays a kid in that one. A big stretch. Making the Grade, a TV series in the custody of strangers. Oh, he's in Tex with Matt Dillon in 1982. The Outsiders in 83. I remember that. He plays 2-Bit. He has the classic line of, "Oh, hey, I hear that they take your face and dip them in the dip your face in the cookies." Sorry, I messed that up. They dip your face in the batter to make the gorilla cookies. Basically, Estevez has nothing to do in the whole movie except just sort of be like a teenager who's unwatched. So he's just floating around in the background of a bunch of scenes. Now we're back to the little leaguer on the bike, the one that got attacked by the soda machine earlier. And as he rides down a suburban street, every time he passes a sprinkler system, they kick on. And then he turns around and looks back and they all kick off. So the sprinkler systems are alive and trying to get him wet. And here's the part where the lawnmower that we were talking about earlier with the cinematographer, the Italian-speaking cinematographer. This scene, a lawnmower attacks this guy, and cinematographer and a bunch of people on the crew told Steven, take the blade out of the lawnmower. And he was like, no, it looks better. It looks more real and it sounds better and everything. They're like, look, you can see the blades underneath it. It's totally pointless to have them in there. You're just leaving them in there for nothing. Take them out so we'll be safe. King, coked out of his mind and drunk, said no. And then while they were filming the scene with the lawnmower, a piece of wood or something got caught up in one of the blades and smacked this cinematographer right in the eye. And it was his right eye. So it took out his, camera lens eye, the one he looks in the viewfinder with. Oh, dear Lord. There's a dead dog, and the dog has been killed by an electric car, like a remote control police car. And here's a man who's been killed by a Sony Walkman. His music, his headphones have made him bleed to death. But the cinematographer that lost his eye, obviously, that's not a very good thing to happen to you when your whole career is using your eyes. So he was immediately flight for life, helicoptered away, and he was gone for a bulk of the production. But then he came back to finish it up, and then he later sued King and Dino De Laurentis for, I don't know, several $1 million. I think he wanted 16 or 17, but they settled out of court with him. He would eventually go back doing cinematography, but it was back in Italy. And here comes, like I said, right now we're with the little kid who's riding around checking out the suburbs and all the people who are dead and the nice, pretty manicured lawns. And here comes an ice cream truck. And I think this is the first time I saw a haunting ice cream truck. Later on, after like Twisted Metal and stuff, ice cream trucks became real popular to be a scary thing. They look like molester vans to begin with, but there's the aforementioned bloody lawnmower. And the ice cream, or the ice cream truck, my tea tastes tea. And you can see inside it that there's no one in there. It's just cruising around. And it's playing that. Mm-hmm. Where was I? Okay, so The Outsiders. Then he did Nightmares. Emilio Estevez did. So in '83, he did The Outsiders and Nightmares. If you haven't seen Nightmares, it's actually enjoyable. It's pretty schlocky. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's an anthology film. There's one with I remember in particular with a giant rat. I believe Emilio Estevez is a guy who has he gets attacked by a video game. Like he's a video game junkie, a console game junkie, and I believe he either gets trapped in the game or the game comes to life and tries to kill him or something. So there's the scene where the lawnmower is chasing after the kid on the bike. I'm assuming that's where the piece of wood spun out of it and hit the cinematographer in the eye. So after Nightmares, Emilio Estevez, like I said, did The Outsiders, did Nightmares, and then '84 did Repo Man. Repo Man's one I hated when I was a kid. I thought it was stupid and it didn't make any sense and I just didn't feel it. And I watched it again when I was in college and I was like, this movie's great. That's one that somebody should remake. It's super cheap and easy to do, but it's kind of fun. Then after Repo Man, he did The Breakfast Club. So that was his first Brat Pack movie. It was in '85, The Breakfast Club. Also in '85, he did St. Elmo's Fire. Then That Was Then, This Is Now. I remember that one. That's pretty good. Kind of a coming of age film. Then Maximum Overdrive in '86, Wisdom in '86, Stakeout in '87, Young Guns in '88, and that's probably his biggest breakthrough role. I mean, people knew who he was because of primarily Breakfast Club and some other stuff, but by the time he did Young Guns and he was Billy the Kid, that was when people really took notice of who Emilio Estevez was. Then Young Guns 2 in 1990, Men at Work in 1990. I didn't realize Men at Work and Young Guns were the same year. And then Free Jack in 92. There's another one like this. You either love it or hate it. Most people hate Free Jack and they use it as a punchline, but I think Free Jack is kind of cool and interesting. It's got a really good cast, Anthony Hopkins and stuff. It's about right before you die, these people from the future, if you die in a high profile death that would be in newspapers and stuff, the people from the future come back and they snatch your body before you die and they give it to like people who are be reborn. They use your body for old people. Mick Jagger's in it. He plays like the head of the like thugs. It's crazy. My Ducks in 92, Loaded Weapon in 93. Loaded Weapon's pretty fun. Samuel Jackson and him basically in a ripoff of Lethal Weapon, but it's one of those like not another teen movie, constant joke films. Another Stakeout in 93, Judgment Night in 93. Decent movie, not bad. I watched that with Cinephile Sanity on Sean's channel. So if you'd like to watch that sometime, there's a watch along on his channel that I pop in the end at. The main thing about Judgment Night is it had a band soundtrack. It was like a rap rock mashup. So there was all these like, House of Pain and whoever, and, lots of Booyah Tribe and Biozerd or whatever. That's right. He was in Mission Impossible, the first one. I do remember that. He has like a cameo. He's pretty, I think he was kind of there to be sacrificial. Like he had a big name, that gets bumped off. D3, The Mighty Ducks, Dollar for the Dead, Late Last Night. I never saw that. Rated X. I did see that. It's about these, it's a true story or whatever, a biopic about these two brothers who make pornography. They're like a famous porn directing duo. Producing duo. The West Wing, Three Wise Men, the LA Riot Spectacular. Somehow I've actually seen that as well. Bobby, I've seen that. It's the ensemble movie about the death of Bobby Kennedy, the assassination of him. The Way, Dear Dracula, Abominable Christmas, The Public, Mighty Ducks, Game Changers. I didn't realize, there was a TV series, 10 episodes. Okay, there you go. But as I had mentioned, Emilio Estevez, he's a director now. Not a lot of people know that, which is sad. He's directed damn near half as many movies as he was acting in. Let's see, directing. He directed Wisdom with him and Demi Moore. Then he directed Men at Work with him and Charlie Sheen. I always forget he directed Men at Work. He directed that aforementioned Rated X movie. Directed a bunch of TV, CSI New York, Numbers. He also directed Close to Home, a TV series. I've never heard of that either. So now the people at the truck stop are taking one of the dead bodies that the trucks have run over, and they're wrapping them up in blankets because flies are starting to gather and stuff. And here's the part I mentioned where the lead woman in this is, she's kind of cute. She's sort of like a mall chick or whatever. She got a little fedora on or whatever. But the producer was like, she needs to be way sexier. So now we see her jeans and stuff off and putting on a more like alluring outfit. So at this point, everybody's starting to break down. You can already see the wear and tear on their faces. There is 36:08 is the time count. And boy, Pat Hingle's a good jerk. Like as Commissioner Gordon, he's just sort of there. He's my least favorite Commissioner Gordon. He's totally useless. Like I like Commissioner Gordon, like punching people and stuff. I like the strong mustache and the glasses and all that. I like that. Gary Oldman is a really good Commissioner Gordon. Pat Hingle, I mean, he was like, at least in his 60s at the time, big belly. He looks more like one of the Penguin's henchmen than he does Commissioner Gordon. Now all the trucks are lined up outside and they're all revving their engines, and the people in the truck stop are realizing today is not normal. What's my man's name? Frankie Faison. He's the guy that was originally driving the Green Goblin truck. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Let's see what Frankie Faison's all done. You would know him. Cheap black guy, but he's always like plays nice. Like I don't ever remember him playing a bad guy. He's always like a sweetheart in all his movies. 137 acting credits. I believe he wasn't he in Silence of the Lambs, maybe? Let's see. Frankie Faison's first acting credit was in... Wow. 1974. Great performances. He was in Ragtime, Cat People, A Little Sex, Hanky Panky. So yeah, he fell into the 80s pseudo porn rush. Sessions. Oh, he was in Chud. That's right. There you go. So anybody in Chud, I approve of. He was in Exterminator 2, The Money Pit with Tom Hanks and Shelley Long. I didn't realize Money Pit and Maximum Overdrive were the same year. He was in Manhunter as Lieutenant Fisk. He's the landlord in Coming to America. You might remember him from that. Mississippi Burning, Do the Right Thing. An episode of Monsters. Shout out to Monsters. Silence of the Lambs. There you go. He plays Barney, the orderly. So I believe he also shows up in the Hannibal movie, right? True Colors, Free Jack. He was also in Free Jack. Him and Emilio Estevez must be buddies. He was in Money for Nothing, which is a Charlie Sheen movie. Oh, that's a different Money for Nothing. Spider and the Fly. I Love Trouble as the police chief. That's a Julia Roberts, Nick Nolte joint. He was in The Langoliers. We talked about that the other night. It's a Stephen King miniseries made for TV. Really good plot, really bad special effects. Albino Alligator. He was in Oz. Jaded, All My Children, Thomas Crown Affair, Hannibal. There you go. So he was in Manhunter, Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal. I wonder if anybody else can say that. And there's somebody texting me. This late at night, whenever I get a text, I have a running gag. It's like there's a 3% chance it's a booty call and a 97% chance it's one of my British friends. I often play Brit or Booty. What do you think? Brit or Booty? Brit or Booty? I'm going to go with Brit. It's Jim's Retro Emporium. Yes. So there we go. Actually, I don't think Jim's a Brit, but whatever. That's not relevant. Where are we at here? This one is Hef here working on a project. So Echo's here. Our friend Gareth is here. Morning. Gareth, what do you think of, if you're still around, if I haven't missed you, what do you think of this one? You know, I always have to ask your opinion. Gareth and I are very like-minded, but every now and then he throws me a curveball. I bet he thinks it's fun, but it's not very good. Let's see here. Yes, a remake would be good. I agree. Like I said, I thought they remade it and called it Trucks, but apparently Trucks was a prequel. So yeah, shows what I know. I was listening to a podcast and they said that it's the worst film ever. My response was this: Maximum Overdrive is one of the effing greatest films ever made. There, I said it's a prime example of 80s success. I can't really argue with that. That's one of the things I do like about it. Is it's got like a grungy. It feels like a cousin to Repo Man or something. It looks like it was made independently because it was made by De Laurentis, who was a penny pincher, but it was weird. He's a penny saver. He had bigger ideas than he actually had money for things. So I don't know if it was fair to call him like a penny pincher or cheap, but he would always do these big grandiose projects that he couldn't really deliver on because there wasn't the money or the technical skill at the time to do it. Here, so Curtis and Connie are attacked by a truck, and as they evade it and the truck blows up, they see the Dixie Boy truck stop is 2 miles away. Hey, good morning, Gareth. Yeah, people love some Gareth. The only other film I remember the lead actress being in was Buckaroo Banzai. She had a very small role. Yeah, I didn't remember her even being in that. I honestly can't remember her being in anything other than this, but I do love me some Buckaroo Banzai. Like you say, small role. That's why I don't remember her. Let's see. Well, that's a cool concept. Hi, Jinjin Cinephile. Too bad I'm too tired to finish. I'm going to bed. Much love, everyone. And Don, keep it moving. Keeping up with my cow puns that I've been posting on Instagram. Cowabunga. Let's see here. Man, this movie is always stupid fun with cool big trucks. I love it. I've seen this at the screening years ago. Yeah, I first saw this. My cousin and family, my uncle and aunt, took him to see it at the drive-in, I believe. I was supposed to go, but something happened and I didn't. And then we heard back that my uncle said this was like one of the worst movies he thought he'd ever seen. So when it came out on VHS for rental, I remember renting it and thinking, well, it's not the worst movie ever. Like, I mean, it's dumb because the trucks come to life and stuff, but it's also kind of fun. You never quite look at machines the same way again. But good night, May, our sweet friend. Sorry I missed you. I'm glad you hung out for a while, though. Jason says you're missing the greatest movie ever. Jason's really doubling down on the back end of this movie. I like that. I mean, he's the horror YouTuber of the month, so if he says it's the greatest movie ever, you got to kind of argue. Or you can't argue. Russell says, have a perfect sleep. Good night, everyone. I remember Yardley Smith from Herman's Head. I remember Herman's Head. That's a show I reference sometimes and never gets. It was a sitcom where the main character, they would cut inside his head, or well, they would show inside his head, not cut inside his head. They would show what was going on in his head. And it was like that, what's that Disney movie where we see his emotions or the girl's emotions or whatever? It's the same deal. There was 4 people living in his head and they were like the different aspects of his personality. So like something would happen and the guy who was like a meathead, bro would have one response, but then like a very soft, gentle, caring person would like argue with him about what they should do. And I think maybe one of the people in there was a woman. But anyways, yeah, it was a funny idea for a sitcom. I'm surprised they didn't keep it up. Russell remembers Herman's Head. He remembers it. I don't remember The Devil's Advocate or Paulie. Paulie, all I remember is that damn parrot. But yeah, Devil's Advocate. Yeah, she could have been just some like minor person, a secretary for Al Pacino or something, and I never would have noticed her. So here's when Pat Hingle comes out and pops out a bazooka. Like apparently he's got a damn armory inside of the truck stop, and he has all these guns and everything. So he goes into a back room that nobody can see and comes back out with one of those like little canister rocket launcher deals. I think they kind of make the point that he's like maybe an illegal gun salesman or something. And Emilio Estevez says, where'd you get that? And he says, I found it in my Christmas stocking, Bubba. See, once again, calling everybody Bubba. So feel free from now on to just refer to everybody as Bubba instead of my dude or homie or whatever. It's like, what's up, Bubba? Why isn't there car effect? Good question, Gareth. Good question. Yeah, why? If the cars are all coming alive and murdering them, how come Connie and Curtis's car is fine? Gareth, morning, Franz. Everyone wants to know. That's a good question, Gareth. Yeah, I think you kind of cracked the code on that one. Never mind. This movie sucks, Jason. He's right. No, I'd settle for another King-directed film over a remake. It will never happen, though. King is haunted by this film. That is so weird, too, that he's haunted by this, because there are people like me and Jason who really enjoy this movie and are happy it was made and think it's a cool flick. But the fact that even the dude who wrote it and made it is, no, it's not good. Well, I think it is. But that goes back to the beauty is in the eye of the beholder thing I often talk about with all art, Same with fashion, you know what I mean? Sometimes you'll see people wearing something, and you're like, well, I could never wear that, but it looks good on them, That's how this movie is. Other people are allowed to hate it, and I could see why, but every time I see it, it's like nothing but fun. So she went from jeans, fedora, sport coat with buttons, very 80s kind of new wave look. And now she's wearing like a tank top off the shoulder number with some shorts and some boots. Yeah, you can tell somebody stepped in and changed her outfit. Let's see here. Might use a lot of CGI in the remake. Yeah, I could see them doing that. That's a problem with everything nowadays. Rock and Roll High School any good? I have a cop, but I haven't watched it. I saw it when I was a kid. I'm a Ramones fan, obviously, so I haven't gone back and I always think of it fondly, but I haven't gone back and watched it in years. It's weird to me that the Ramones were that big at that point. It was like way early 80s. Like the Ramones kind of were like this movie. They were a cult hit. They were popular at the time and a lot of folks liked them. But over time, they really grew big with like the Next Generation and stuff after their greatest hits albums and stuff started coming out. They like the Misfits have a big following now, but at the time their following was nowhere near as big as it is now. I think that's how the Ramones are. They were very popular and people, especially in New York, loved them, But supposedly that's why Howard Stern was always trying to be like when he had the long hair and the leather jacket and stuff. He was modeling himself after the Ramones. Did you hear that Alex Cox is remaking another Repo? Is making another Repo Man? I don't know if Emilio's coming. So there you go. I had said that they should make a Repo Man. Actually, I had thought about one time I was thinking about trying to make a small film, and the plot for Repo Man is such an easy one to do. All you need is like 4 or 5 friends who can act in their cars because there's nothing else going on. It's like, hey, there's something in the trunk of the car. What? Don't worry about it. Let's see. I can't remember seeing Joe Estevez in a movie in years, thinking this guy's like a poor man's Martin Sheen. Little did I know. Yeah. Love That Was Then, This Is Now with Emilio from the same writer of The Outsiders, S.C. Hinton. Yeah, I think why I watched That Was Then, This Is Now is because I'm such a big fan of The Outsiders. That's a movie I've seen 50 times. But I don't know if it's good for a watch along here because it's primarily it's very heavy and dramatic, and there's so much going on. But it was one that was always on cable. Man, it was on HBO for like the first like 5 years of us having cable, and then it moved over to TBS and was just lived there for the rest of my life. I own that and DVD. The dead dog with the toy car in its mouth. Yeah, exactly. That's absurdly hilarious. Emilio was with Demi Moore around this time, lucky bugger. Yeah, I heard they were dating. I never knew what was the deal with that. I think maybe they hooked up on St. Elmo's Fire, maybe. I don't know. Men at Work with Charlie. Men at Work is awesome. Free Jack, Free Bagger. I'll Make You Famous. There you go. The Billy the Kid. So they've moved the dead body that they brought in from outside, the one that was gathering floods, and they put it down in the basement where the armory is. So Emilio Estevez now knows they have like a cache of guns. And of course, Pat Hingle has a bumper sticker up on one of the boxes that says "Stop ERA." That's the Equal Rights Amendment. It was like a thing in the early 80s that was like primarily for women. You know, they wanted to make sure women had equal rights in the workplace and other places. So there was a big push for ERA. And I remember like there would be signs in yards and stuff. So of course he has the Stop ERA bumper sticker up to show that he's not really a down kind of guy. It's amazing that Free Jack was a mainstream release. Saw Free Jack in the theater actually. That's one of those where like you're dating a girl and it's maybe like the third date. You know, it's in high school, especially it was like early high school. So it was like, well, I guess we'll just go to a movie. What do you want to watch? I don't care. We're not really going to pay attention to it anyways. So I saw Free Jack that way. That's why I saw Leprechaun too. That was around the same time. Same deal. I was like, I don't really care if I see Leprechaun or not, but I'll go on a date. And then Leprechaun ended up being funny. Big fan of Rumblefish with Mickey Rourke and Matt Dillon. Yeah, was that another S.E. Hinton? That was around the same time. Judgment Night is the best Emilio film. I think most folks would say Young Guns or Mighty Ducks, but I love me some Judgment Night. It's a good. The movie itself is all right. It's mildly derivative. It's just some people's cars break or like SUV or whatever. An RV, whatever. I can't think of the name. A Winnebago. There you go. Winnebago camper. Breaks down or whatever. They hit a guy in the middle of the downtown area of Chicago, and then they have to run for their lives from the criminals. So it's kind of like The Warriors, but it's also a little bit like Trespass with Ice Cube and Ice-T. Some people who stumbled into a place they weren't supposed to be. Emilio on an episode of 2.5 Men and Charlie's Funeral. I want to spit. I prefer Manhunter instead of Silence. A lot of people say that primarily because of Michael Mann's direction. To me, Silence of the Lambs is damn near a perfect movie. It's almost a 10. It might be a 10. I don't know. I don't remember what I rated it. But yeah, so I'm partial to Silence, but Manhunt is fantastic. I also like Anthony Hopkins over Brian Cox, but there are other people who enjoy Brian Cox's performance more. So I think it kind of just depends what your personal flavor is, or maybe what you got into first. I thought I saw Manhunter first, and then I didn't even remember that I had seen it when I saw Silence of the Lambs, because I would have made the connection with the Lecter character. And then they remade Manhunter as what, Red Dragon, I think it's called. I think the book was called Red Dragon. So the movie's been on for 52:24. Wow, I've already watched this for an hour. Really? Damn. So it's been on for 52 minutes, and Emilio has already gotten down with the lead woman here. So they went and found a cot in one of the rooms, and they're getting it on because it's the old thing. If you only have like a week to live or a couple days to live or whatever, it's like, well, I want to go out with a bang. Boot, a Canadian friend. He is a Canuck. Dennis Leary is a great bad guy in Judgment Night. Yeah, he is actually. He's got like a creepy kind of menacing. But I always thought it was weird that it's like this inner city gang type thing where is chasing after them. Like you would think it would be obviously more Black and Latino kind of characters, but for some reason Dennis Leary's in charge of them. They like his Boston style in Chicago. Wisdom isn't bad, but the ending sucks. Wisdom's an interesting story. It's about is it based on a true story or not? Either way, it's about these a couple that goes around robbing banks, but they don't rob the banks for money. They burn up everybody's loan. So especially the farmers in the 80s, because of the fluctuating economy, a lot of farmers lost their land, and especially because of banking practices and stuff, they got screwed out of bad mortgages and stuff. So Wisdom's about this couple that's like a Robin Hood type thing. They break into banks and they burn up all the files, so there's no like record. Obviously, most of that stuff's got backup paperwork, so it's kind of symbolic. But it's cool because after like the second or third bank they go into to burn up all the paperwork, the farmers like applaud them. And they're like showing them where to go and stuff. So they become like these, kind of hero Robin Hood characters. And here's where that's kind of an interesting part. The main woman, the road twitch, she keeps telling Emilio Estevez, "You're a hero." And he's like, "No, I'm a punk, like a creep, I'm trying to just mind my own business." And she's like, "You're a hero." And then she even tells him, like, you sure do make love like a hero. Uh-oh. Dude's about to play the jukebox. Are you sure you want to do that, sir? I would leave all things with electronics alone. Dennis Leary was a badass. Ho take Mads Mikkelsen is the superior Hannibal Lecter. Hot take, Mads Mikkelsen is the superior Hannibal Lecter. I don't know. That is a hot take. Mads Mikkelsen is very good, and I know a lot of people love that show. I watched I think maybe 2 seasons of it. That's a cool show. So there's where the lady loses her shit and she just overacts like insane. She goes outside and she has like this spastic fit. And she's like, "We made you." But it's kind of cool. The truck stop, of course, has all these trucks circling around it. And every time somebody goes with the trucks trying to run them over or whatever. But since it's night, we can see like the Aurora Borealis or whatever. Like the sky has like this green mist above it because of that comet that's passing over Earth. Earlier, when I compared this to Night of the Living Dead, it's kind of the same thing. A comet goes by and sparks stuff coming to life. So I would assume the reason George Romero and them never tripped about how close the plot is, because even at the end, it's the end of Dawn of the Dead. They go to an island where there's no machines, and that's how they escape this, right? So I assume Romero didn't trip because Romero and King got to be good friends. I believe when Romero directed Night Riders, was it, with Tom Savini and them? Stephen King has a cameo in that. Also, King and Romero worked together on Creepshow, which, if you haven't seen, is awesome. Like I said, Joe Hill is in that. There's a hot take. And Demolition Man was Stallone and Snipes. I love Demolition Man. So here Connie and Curtis are snuggled up under Curtis's jacket, and they're up to something, and he's clearly doing stuff to her, which is weird because when you're getting down with somebody, the last kind of moaning voice you want to hear is Lisa Simpson's. "Oh yeah, that feels good. Do it some more, deeper. Curtis, play the saxophone." It's amazing this has only been going on for less than a day, and the front of the truck stop is like already a war zone because the dude bazooka and blew up a couple trucks, and the other things have been exploding and bumping into each other and stuff. So and they're starting to wonder when will it be our world again? And he says, "Was it ever?" Deep, deep. Let's see here. What is dude's name? Leon Rippey. He's one of the dudes in the truck stop. And I'm trying to find the other guy, the like heavyset dude that's in a lot of Stephen King movies. I can't think of his name. Of course, none of these people have headshots on their IMDb. J.C. Quinn was the guy that got his eyes sprayed with the gasoline. Christopher Murney is the guy that's the Bible salesman that the lead heroine rode in with. Later on, I think maybe he's in the sewer with them, or is that Hingle? There's a part later guys have to go down in the sewer system, like the drainage system, and they have to crawl through to escape the trucks. That's how the little kid's getting in right now. He finds like a drainage pipe. So he tells them later that's how he got in, so that's how they get out. And they have the Curtis and Emilio Estevez have to crawl through this like sewer water, which obviously shows up later in Shawshank Redemption. King is famous for recycling his own ideas and taking ideas from others. A lot of people claim that It is actually Nightmare on Elm Street. That Nightmare on Elm Street came out, and then It came out like a year later, and it's the same type of thing. Like the sins of the parents, come back to haunt the kids of a town, and they're being tormented by this mythical creature, kind of magical monster person. Tarantino in particular has flat out just said King stole it. Like Tarantino's very hard on King. I don't know where that rivalry came from, but I've heard him speak about how he doesn't like Stephen King a couple different times. However, I love King. I've watched it on YouTube. If you just put in Stephen King interviews, there's hours and hours of him like conducting, lectures at colleges or being interviewed by some reporter or whatever. And I find King himself to just be like a real fascinating, kind of interesting, cool guy. There's all sorts of people like that. George R.R. Martin, the guy that did Game of Thrones. I've watched hours and hours of George R.R. Martin interviews. He's a very fascinating dude. Rod Serling, super interesting. Henry Rollins, very interesting guy to listen talk. A lot of actors and creative types aren't always the best people to listen to, but some of these folks can spin a yarn. So Emilio Estevez told Pat Hingle, "You're one of the biggest fuckheads I ever met in my life." Right? Leon Rippey, I think, was Charlie Sheen's biker buddy in Beyond the Law. So there you go. A lot of like double up. I wonder if like when Sheen and Estevez meet somebody, if they just become friends and they end up working with them over and over again. Yesterday I watched Machete on Mr. Bones' channel. And in there, they in the backstory history of that, they say the reason Robert De Niro ends up in Machete is because Danny Trejo and him worked together on Heat. So when they needed I believe it was Chris Cooper passed on the role that De Niro later played, and when they were trying to get De Niro to play it, Danny Trejo called him and was like, "Hey, buddy," I don't know why he's Middle Eastern. Yeah, he's like, "Hey, come hang out." So they say that's why De Niro did it, is he wanted to work with Trejo again. And Robert Rodriguez could like shoot him out in like 2 days. So come in, hang out for 2 days, get your scenes filmed real quick, and then leave. So yeah, here's where they're going down into the sewer. Curtis and what is Emilio Estevez's name in this? I always forget it. Bill. Duh. Okay. Oh, and Michael Myers is here, by the way. I forgot to say hi to Michael Myers. Welcome, buddy. Bible salesman creates the bad guy in The Last Dragon. He was that's a good call. That's a nice one. Yeah, I do remember him in that. I completely forgot he was in that. Yeah, the last Dragon of a schlocktastic. It's not for everybody, but the people it's for love it. Show enough. Kiss my Converse. Yeah, here's Curtis and Bill going through the. This has to be unsanitary. Like, I don't know how this is up to code. There's just like a weird wooden like crawlway full of sewage and rats. It seems like the health department would have signed since all this. Sheen was in Machete Kills. There you go. Once again, this all ties together. It's like the damn Marvel universe. It took me a while to recognize him in Last Dragon, even though it was pretty much the same year. Yeah, I remember he's like the evil bad guy. His wife or whatever she is, girlfriend, that like redheaded lady that looks like the other Julie, what's her name from Earth Girls Are Easy. She's like this wannabe singer actress type, even though she's not really enough to be. So the bad guy's doing like everything he can to get her to be on the hot dance show or whatever. So he's going to kidnap the host of the hot dance show and force her to put his wife on the show. And instead, Bruce Leroy intervenes and beats everybody's ass by achieving the glow. I don't know. We may have to have a watch along the Last Dragon sometime. If for nothing else than just so I can say snuff lines for an hour and a half. So yeah, here they've just crawled out of the sewer system thing, and they're on the other side of the road. So they've snuck underneath the entire truck lot and crossed the street. Now they're popping up where the trucks can't see them. And our boy, the little leaguer, not Kelly Leak, he finds the guy we're talking about, the man from The Last Dragon, the sleazy Bible salesman guy. And he's like laying in the dirt covered in mud. So we've already established this kid will go check on you if you're dead. Like he went and checked on his baseball coach. So now he goes up to this Bible salesman guy and he puts his ear to his chest and listens. And that's when there's the big jump scare. And the dude jumps up and grabs him and he's like, carry me, help me, pull me. I can't, you're too heavy. But he's like, by Jesus, I'll kill you. So even then, you can tell he's a Bible salesman, but he's a bastard. He's threatening to kill a kid. So yeah, they see that the little kid is trapped and being held hostage by the Bible salesman guy. They're going to rescue him. So there's a Bic truck. Bic is I never understood Bic's business model. It's like we make lighters and pens. Doesn't seem like that would be the same machines, but yeah, the big Bic logo. I'm sure that must be some kind of product placement because everything else in here is fake, like Happy Time Days or My Tea Tasty ice cream and stuff. So I would assume that Bic probably kicked in a little bit of money. The whole movie is unsanitary yet awesome, right? Michael knows. Bic also do cheap razors. There, you're right. They do the orange and white joints. I forgot about those. Yeah, my dad always used those. Actually, I think the green ones I use. Oh, those might be Schick. Like Schick and Bic would have had to fight it out by now over who gets the ick name. But yeah, I do remember those orange and white crappy cheap ones. Sometimes you get them like if you if you stay at a hotel or something like that, there'll be the complimentary razor, and it's always that cheapo orange and white one. Single blade, not double blade. That ain't no salesman. That's Duncan's kid. So Emilio's got the bazooka, and he fires it from the hip. He doesn't put it on the shoulder. He fires it low angle. And he gives the classic Emilio Estevez laugh as he blows up one of the trucks, and him and Curtis do like a high five because it's the 1980s and it's the law. In the 1980s, if you went like 2 days without high-fiving somebody, the proper authorities would come by your home. When's the last time you high-fived somebody, boy? Right now? So the kid from the baseball team, the reason he's been trying to make it to the truck stop is because his dad was working at the truck stop. And then the kid says, "Where's my dad?" And he's like, "Well, he got killed." So the hero, the heroine of the movie, the road twitch, she's like, "What a bastard you are!" And they build like this sort of adopted family thing with Emilio as the hero, her as the cutie girlfriend, and then they have like the new adopted son. That's how Night of the Comet ends too. Another movie with a strange comet passing by. It's like people just build these little families in their dysfunction. It's good character stuff. So, there you go. A lesson in manners from the road twitch. I never got that in movies. Movies give women the false impression that they can just go ahead and slap any man with no repercussions. I wouldn't recommend it. Especially Pat Hingle. He's trying to suppress women's equal rights amendments. He's got a cachet of weapons. He's probably the wrong guy to smack. Later on, he becomes law enforcement for Batman. Jesus. In this one, I never understand. Here's another one, like how I was saying, um, the electric knife that turns on its own and stuff. It's like, well, I can understand how it would kick on and cut people, but I don't understand how it can like move and get around. Here they have a machine gun on like a Jeep sort of deal. The machine gun on the turret like pivots on its own, even though there's no one there to move it. And there's no mechanics to move it. It just moves on its own. It's like a ghost is operating. Let's see here. Loaded Weapon 1. Is this the only movie where Emilio plays a hunky tough guy hero? I mean, I guess. I mean, Free Jack, kinda. I don't know. Hunky's a real hard term to go by. To a certain extent, Billy the Kid. That's one of the things I don't like about Young Guns. Is Billy the Kid in real life was like a cold-blooded murdering asshole, but in Young Guns makes him seem like he's a cool, like desperado type character. You know, he did what he had to do. Well, probably didn't have to murder a bunch of people and rob a bunch of banks and shit. Now the trucks have called in addition to the gun turret machine Jeep thing. They've also called in like a bulldozer, and it's going to come in and start crashing into the trucks and moving things around and trying to bust into the truck stop and everything. I can't believe old girl has survived this long. The one that lost her shit and was just like, "Who we made you?" It seems like she would have been killed early on. In most horror movies, she would have been. And like this like Jeep, it really looks like a rail car. It's like an SU, or what do you call it? What ATV? That's the word I'm looking for. It's like an ATV, a flatbed rail car. You ever seen those cars that go on railroads and they like each side pumps? You pump on each side to make the car go. It kind of looks like that, except it's got a machine gun on it. I'm not sure a real thing exists in real life, but it's only got one box of bullets. So theoretically, like, after like 50 rounds, it's pretty much done. Yeah, so now the bulldozer is completely like just destroying the outside of the truck stop, and Pat Hingle goes back to get Chekhov's bazooka. If you introduce a bazooka in the first act, it has to pay off in the third act. And there, Pat Hingle blows up the bulldozer and says, "How you like that chicken shit?" And the machine gun just open fires on him and blows him away. Live by the machine gun, die by the machine gun, homie. And there goes another dude in the truck stop. 3. Yeah, it's just around everybody in here. But the bullets are going to be gone in a second. And who's going to replace the bullets? If this thing gets more bullets, I'm with Gareth. No, that's the thing. There's a lot of suspension of disbelief in this. As I mentioned, when King, I don't know how, I'm assuming he wrote it, he was probably drugged out of mind as well. But when he directed it, he was completely drunk and coked up. So there's no telling what level his brain was on when he came up with these ideas. But he was awake, I'll tell you that much. Oh, let's see here. So yeah, Fran's guess is Loaded Weapon 1. I would say Free Jack, maybe to a certain extent. Gordon Bombay, I guess, is kind of a hunky dude. I don't know. He's a hockey coach. He's a former NHL player or whatever. That's another thing. Emilio Estevez, I think, is a big like celebrity hockey guy. Like there was a whole bunch of them in Hollywood for some reason. MacGyver, Michael J. Fox. Whenever they would have celebrity hockey games or like NHL All-Star Weekend or anything like that, there'd always be the usual crew of people we recognized. So now the Who Made You or the We Made You lady, Wanda, is going to hide and take the bazooka. Can't you understand? You can't do this. We need you. Once again, shouting out AC/DC, who made who. And then there, as she's dying, the bazooka goes off and blew up a Miller High Life truck. So there's more product placement for you. Oh, wow. I didn't even notice. Pat Hingle's license plate is Bubba. So not only does he call everybody Bubba, his license plates are Bubba. Bubba. Oh, that's right. So the Army vehicle thing, the little like ATV with a M60 on it, has got a steering wheel with a horn, and the horn starts beeping, and they realize it's Morse code. So I think what the kid knows because he was in the Boy Scouts or whatever. He got a merit badge for it, so he can decode the Morse code, and that's where he figures out like need fuel or something like that. Who is this kid? He's let's see, Holter Graham. Is that him? Must be. Holter Graham, actor, additional crew, producer. Yeah, that's definitely him. Wow, he looks interesting old. He aged interestingly. He looks, I don't know, the headshot they use for him, he looks like a biker now. Here he looks like, what's that kid, Chad, something or other that used to be on Sequest DSV? So Maximum Overdrive was this kid's first movie, 86. Then he was in Hairspray, Two Evil Eyes. He was in Baby. So apparently he's a big John Waters guy. That's cool. Like I approve of that. Fly Away Home, New York Undercover, Six Ways to Sunday, Spin the Bottle. Oh boy, yeah, these are getting bad. He was a voice actor in the Warriors video game. Good for him. He's also a voice actor in Grand Theft Auto, Liberty City Stories. A lot of video game acting. Good for him. Army Wives, a TV series. Red Dead Redemption, Star Wars The Old Republic. Apparently he's mostly a voice actor now. That's interesting. Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. So the little kid in this grows up to be a voice actor that's in a bunch of video games and cartoons. Shout out. Man, Emilio Estevez and old girl fell in love like quick. It's been like 2 days since they met, and they're already like constantly kissing and hugging on each other and stuff. I mean, I understand it's a trauma bond, but still, it's this this truck stop. It's only been like 2 days, and there's a Cadillac smashed into the side of it. A bunch of it's completely destroyed by a bulldozer. There's like dead people all scattered around. Wanda June's laying there bloody in front. Bullets everywhere. I guess when when they went to make this movie, like I said, it was in North Carolina, Wilmington, and the trucks mainly came from the East Coast, primarily from like New York, I think. So a bunch of the trucks rode in like a convoy from wherever they were at down to North Carolina, and Stephen King rode with them on his motorcycle because he wanted to feel the like the power of being near all these trucks and maybe see if it like influenced his thoughts and everything. And when the trucks all arrived where they were going to shoot the film at, the security people wouldn't let Stephen King in. And they said he was completely drunk and like high out of his mind and just kept rambling about how he was the director of a movie about machines that come to life. And they were like, what are you talking about, dude? So there was a big holdup where no one actually recognized Stephen King because he looked like a total whack drug addict. It's not a far stretch. So there, Bill has gone and talked to the Green Goblin truck. And he's gone over to his face and whispered to him, like, we'll hook you up. And now Hell's Bells by AC/DC begins, the subtitle it says there. I don't know if any of you ever had a job where you pump gas for 24 hours straight. Let me know if it would be this taxing. It doesn't seem like it would be. Like by the time they're all done, they're like so swollen, their hands are swollen and like blistered, and I don't know, like it's working on a longshore dock or something. I'm pretty sure it's just standing there and holding a nozzle, isn't it? I don't know. But because now the trucks have a hookup on gasoline or the diesel or whatever, trucks from everywhere start showing up. So it's not just the 4 or 5 that were terrorizing them before. Now there's like hundreds pulling up. As AC/DC blares. Let's see here. Yeah, the turret is manual, so it wouldn't even turn. Yeah, I don't understand. Like I said, it looks like a ghost is operating it, but there's a lot of questionable things in this. Like the lawnmower, theoretically, you could say, okay, well, the wheels are on some sort of mechanism. Maybe it's one of those that has like a auger or whatever that pulls it. So like maybe it could control the wheels and turn and all that. But yeah, the machine gun on the turret, the electric knife. Gareth pointed out earlier why doesn't Connie and Curtis's car turn again? Like all the vehicles have changed. Oh, what the hell? I froze. Oh no. All right, I'm back. Hey, look at that. I see middle of the night I keep getting low bars, so I apologize for any freezing or jerky voices. Middle of the night is often tech issue. Which is weird because you would think middle of the night would be like prime time to have all the internet bandwidth you would need because nobody else is awake. But lots of tech issues in the middle of the night, lots of updates and things. I always thought Genghis Khan and Bill and Ted was pretty adorable compared to the total degenerate he was in real life. There's another one. Yeah, the movies will make villains look like, or people we know who are awful look like they're decent. Wow. So I wonder how many trucks that is. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. It's probably only like 50 or 60 trucks, but it looks like hundreds. And now Hell's Bells is just playing on. The little the caption underneath just keeps saying Hell's Bells, because that's what the song is. Yeah, some UK hotels are pretty seedy. You wouldn't want to use one of those UV lights to show you the evidence of body fluids. Yeah, the purple light is no fun in the hotels. Maybe it was the marketing. The King trailer sells it as a horror when it's more of a sci-fi action movie. Yeah, I think of it personally almost as like a comedy because there's so much like silliness in it with the stuff. Like I said, the schlocky things that are easy to make fun of. But yeah, man, theoretically it's supposed to be horror. Right? It's Night of the Living Dead, Birds, etc. Yeah, I'm wondering if all these truck trailers with the big corporate logos on them, I'm assuming that's got to be product placement. Like I saw J&B 1.5s were in the back, the marijuana rolling papers. I mean, cigarette rolling papers. So now they're out of gas, and one of the trucks is just like bullying him. This big Mack truck is like banging into him and like pushing him around, demanding more gas. It's no more gas, bro. I don't know what to tell you. And then I remember the the truck shows up full of gas. So they're just stuck in like permanent enslavement to their truck overlords. Yep, here you go. But I do, when you're talking about the King marketing, yeah, I was saying before that the trailers for this were like, he would come on and he had like a lazy eye, kind of Stephen King did. I think that's maybe why he wears the glasses. But he had like a lazy eye, and he would come on, he's like, I'm Stephen King, the master of horror, or whatever. And you would clips playing behind him. He's like, these shots you're seeing are from my new movie Maximum Overdrive. And he would just basically sell it as, this is a horror movie by the horror guy. So here Frankie Faison comes over and just tells Charlie Sheen, you need a break, man. You got nothing left. You've been pumping gas for hours. Your grip hand must just be exhausted. I mean, granted, there are those little things you flip up so you don't even have to grip it, but that's not important right now. Emilio Estevez's hair is perfect, though. Like, I don't know what product he has it, but even though he's through a robot apocalypse, he's hanging in there. Whatever pomade he's using should be on one of those, because they need some pub. So as Frankie Faison is helping Emilio Estevez away, like back into the truck stop, they're whispering like, here's what we're gonna do. And while they're whispering, the turret gun ATV thing like pulls over and points the gun at him, like, we're listening. How? You have no ears. Let me see here. Whole goddamn world's going tits up, right? Yeah, this movie's good for some crazy Southern expressions. Like I said, Bubba, and like road twitch, and just all of that. King is so high in that trailer, right? Like I say, I don't even know if that eye is lit or he just did so much coke it just went dead. One of my eyes went dead. I don't know what to do, man. It is a sci-fi action film. Yeah, I mean, it's because of the machines and because of the futuristic comet thing or whatever. I mean, I could see why you would call it sci-fi and action because of the machine guns and stuff. But I think that's part of the failure of the film, is it's supposed to be genuinely scary, but it's harder to interpret as scary than it is funny and silly, Although I have never looked at a cash machine the same ever since I saw this. Even in like American Psycho, when the cash station machines like feed me a stray cat, or I don't know. I think maybe The Flash had a scene with an ATM in it. Whenever there's silly hijinks involving a cash machine, I often think of this first. It was the first time I saw it. This machine just called me an asshole. You're an asshole. You're an asshole. And that bank where the cash station is, there's like a digital board outside that says like the bank hours and IRAs and stuff. And it stops and it just starts saying, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. So there's Dutch Boy Tobacco, Ryder, the kid, Deke, I should say. He was wearing like a red Little League shirt, and it got all covered in whatever mud and the swamp, the sewage water that he climbed through. So they had him change into a Champ t-shirt, the old Champion Auto Parts with the Champion logo. I always felt like that was some sort of product placement as well. Let's see here. Maybe Lisa Simpson told him voice acting is a good gig. There you go. That would probably be who tipped him off. You know what you should do is get one of them jobs where you talk all day. Bart. Sex scene is weird where he's eating her forehead sweat. Yeah, that's what I mean. Their romance, I was talking about their romance. It's very like romantic and personal. It's not like, hey, we're gonna die tomorrow, so let's just start humping and then just go back and do crazy humping stuff. It's like, no, it's a lot of like cuddling and like forehead kissing and Eskimo kisses and stuff. And then there's the callback to where she keeps calling him a hero. He blows up the turret gun, and then they dive in and cover their heads, and we cut to a shot of Emilio Estevez's ass up in the air. And she says, I've never seen a hero with his ass in the air like that. Now, this is cool. The first night, it was like completely dark, and there was like the Aurora Borealis kind of thing, the Northern Lights deal, where the sky's all like green and foggy and like looks like mystical, like something out of a Masters of the Universe or something. Well, now tonight it's foggy out. So the next night, when they show the truck stop from afar, there's like an eerie fog settled over it. It's probably a lot of smoke and stuff from all the damn explosions that have been going off, but it's just another creepy way to see the location. So the trucks are getting pissed waiting for gas, and one of them just straight up crashes into the arcade of the truck stop. But at this point, all of our crew has left. Everybody in there that hasn't died, like a good 10 people or so, they've all crawled out through that Shawshank Redemption sewer tunnel deal. And the trucks have had enough. They know something's up. So the bulldozer's destroying the diner. Good, like, monster truck destruction stuff. That was real popular in the 80s. It's like, let's drive a big truck or car over something and see what it looks like. It'll be cool. Not so much nowadays. Now they're like, what can we blow up? See, it's weird. It's called the Dixie Boy Truck Stop, but it's also known as Gas World. So which is it? Is it Dixie Boy Truck Stop, a conglomerate of the Gas World people? And if Gas World is a thing, you can make your own Taco Bell jokes at home. There's a free one for you. Let's see here. Never understood his expression, tits up. Surely tits down would be worse. Yeah, I guess if you fell... Well, I mean, if you fell on your back, it'd be tits up. But it seems like if you got shot, you fall face forward, it'd be tits down. But then, I don't know. I try not to... I'm less concerned with tits when someone has fallen on the ground. At that point, I'm working their safety. Once they're back up, then I'll call in that. Remember that time I helped you? What's up with them tits? But per that, I'm more concerned with safety. So Emilio's been in a white T-shirt covered with blood. That's why I'm wearing this white T-shirt tonight. And now that they're planning their escape, he's put on like a denim shirt. He's trying to dress up for wherever they're headed next. Like I said, I believe they escaped to an island, like in Dawn of the Dead. I know an island where there's no trucks allowed or no cars allowed or whatever, which they have those. I think Martha's Vineyard is maybe like that. There's one in Wisconsin, up by Door County. It's like this vacation spot where people go to, and good to see fall leaves and stuff. And there's a island you go out to, and they have bicycles out there. There's no cars. It's only golf carts or bicycles. So I often think of that with this movie. Wonder how many of those there must be. That must be a pretty common thing if I can think of two off the top of my head. We don't allow cars here. Why? Well, we saw Maximum Overdrive at a young age, and we just won't have it. So now the trucks have completely demolished the gas station, and it's on fire, and the smoke's blaring up into the sky as our group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 folks. That's a lot. Horror movies, you're down to like 4 at this point. But the Happy Toys truck is... Wow, that was cool. The Happy Toys truck is going to chasing them down, trying to track down the people who've escaped. And there's a bus on the side of the road with a Cessna airplane just crashed directly into it, like kamikaze style. So it's a bus with an airplane like a shark fin sticking out of it. That's like my favorite post-apocalyptic movies, is like when you just see little stuff like that and you don't need any explanation or backstory. You can figure it out on your own. Like, well, clearly some sort of kamikaze thing happened. And this is a fun story. They're escaping, and they stop at like a burger joint, and they're hiding out next to the fence. And the drive-through window, or the place where you order, the little voice speaker, the drive-through speaker, saying, over here, over here. And then old boy Deke takes a machine gun and blows up the speaker. And then the girl comes over and is like, are you okay? She sees he's losing it. And he's like, I don't want this anymore. And he hands the gun over. Oh, and here comes Chekhov's ice cream truck. It was there in the first act, and now it's back. Never introduce an ice cream truck in the first act that you bring back at the ending. There's a little bit of feminism for you. Curtis tries to use the Uzi or whatever that is to blow a gun, but his jam or to blow up the ice cream truck, but his jams. So then the woman, the road twitch, she opens fire on it and blows it up. And he looks at her like, right on. So here they're at the marina. They're going to get on this boat. And we walk by, or as they're going to, as they're going over to the boat, there's like a woman in a BMW, or is that a Mercedes? It's a fancy car. And it's a rich lady. And she's been killed by her own electric window. So you can see like she must have leaned out of the car and the window went up and choked her and killed her to death. So her arm is out and there's this big, huge, like 90 million carat stone on her hand. And it's like bigger than dude's head. And one of the bad guys goes over and stales it off her face. And as he's like kind of looking at it, which is dumb as hell because society has collapsed. Where the hell are you going to pawn, a big expensive diamond ring? It's like, that stuff's useless, dude. Gather food and water. So after he's, established that he's a bad guy, like all bad guys in movies, he gets killed right after the Green Goblin truck just mows him down. But then Emilio comes out with the bazooka and shoots the rocket right into the gob's mouth, and you see it explode. It's total like video game boss defeated type thing. And then it blows up for real. Wow. Unless that thing was full of dynamite, it would never blow up that big. That's insane. And first thing he does is go back and kiss Road Twitch and give her a big hug. See what I mean? They're in love. This ain't just a crush. Let's see what's going on with my peeps. If you were using a gas pump for hours, it does get taxing on your hands, especially if it's a hot ass day. Well, that's what I'm thinking. Staying out in the heat might be bad, but those I don't know how they are over in Australia, but here the pumps have like a little thing you can click up, so you can like go like wash your windows and stuff while it pumps. So it just seems like you would click that or do whatever. And there it is, 2 days after a large UFO was destroyed in space by a Russian weather satellite, which happened to be equipped with a laser cannon and a Class 4 nuclear missiles. Approximately 6 days later, the Earth passed beyond the tail of Rhea M, exactly as predicted. So they say that there was actually a UFO hiding in the tail of the comet, and that what was causing all this, which means this is a Plan 9 from outer space plot. The survivors of the Dixie Boy are still survivors. And then you hear Yardley Smith as they're pulling away in the boat, in the sailboat, because obviously you can't have an engine. It has to be a sailboat. You can hear her say, "I'm going to vomit. I'm going to toss my cookies." And there it is. That's Maximum Overdrive. Hour and 30 minutes. Well, hour and 36 or whatever it is. But it goes by fast because it's fun. I like anything. If you keep it under an hour and 40, I'm happy. 90-minute movies are my favorite. Oh, and here's what, You Shook Me All Night Long wraps it up. Knocking me out with those American thighs. Taking more than her share. Had me fighting for air. She told me to come, but I was already there. Because the walls start shaking. The earth was quaking. My mind was aching. And you were making it. And you shook me all night long. And I thank you for shaking me all night long and hanging out. Let's see what's up with the chat as we wrap her up here. I think it means when someone is dead on the ground, their tits are facing up. Yeah, me and Michael are really getting to the bottom of this boob thing. There's no gas left, so Tanker shows up. Exactly. Like as soon as they think they're finished, it's like, nope, not so much. Don't know how a hairdryer managed to strangle that babe in the window. That's another one. It's like, some of the ways the machines kill people is pretty suspect. I don't know. That makes more sense. Yeah, I don't think any cars come to life. Should have used AC/DC in the trailer instead of Halloween 3 music. They used the Halloween 3 music in there. Silver Shamrock, 6 More Days to Halloween. No. Sharman missed a trick not advertising on the toilet roll truck. Right? Sharman, you dropped the ball on this one. So the credits were yellow title or yellow text over black credits. Pretty common, especially like in 70s. They used a lot of yellow text instead of white text. But then the screen changes to green. I've never seen that before. It's like a chroma key green, and the titles are playing in yellow over green. As a fan of Packers, I'm cool with it, but in general, no, this is a terrible decision. Oh, that was interesting. Jeff Mutt Lang got a credit for producing the AC/DC album. He's the guy that I think he's most famous for being Shania Twain's husband. I don't know how I remember any of this weird stuff. But that was Maximum Overdrive. Like I say, a good movie to be done, especially an hour and a half, in and out, boom, boom, boom. I like it. Is that for rent or for... Okay, yeah, I was going to say they were advertising Dune 2, and I was like, wait a minute, since when is Dune 2 available? But they want me to buy it. Never mind. Barney from Silence of the Lambs, Exterminator 2. Exterminator, that's the one with the what's the guy's name? I always forget his name. He was like the worst actor ever. Well, he wasn't a terrible actor. It's just McGinty, Robert McGinty, I think his name is. He was in like The Paper Chase and stuff. I think that was Exterminator, the first one. Is he in Exterminator 2? Isn't Curtis something where he plays a mechanic? My mind is drawing a blank. I don't know. Let's find out what Curtis was doing. The actor John Short. He is most famous for... John Short is 42 acting credits, so that's pretty good. That's slightly less than Emilio Estevez. I'm still shocked Emilio Estevez has less than 50 credits. That's insane. Trapper John M.D., Newhart, The Other Maximum Overdrive, A Fine Mess. I remember that. Wasn't that Ted Danson and Howie Mandel, maybe? Angel and Green, St. Elsewhere, the TV series, Brand of Star, The Kavanaughs, Gross Anatomy. I remember that. Was that, what's his name? Whatever. It's a movie about young doctors or whatever. 21 Jump Street, Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael, Brooklyn Bridge, Diggstown he was in. He plays corny Buster Robbins. So I think maybe was that a boxer? Diggstown's a boxing movie, so I'm thinking it's a boxer. Coach, Apollo 13 he was in. Lots of TV. He was in Ransom with Mel Gibson. He plays Agent Dewey. Ally McBeal, 102 Dalmatians, the video game. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. He plays Tiny Who-Man. Star Trek Enterprise. Christmas with the Cranks as Ned Becker. West Wing, Boston Legal, ER, Close to Home, Without a Trace. Pretty Bad Actress as Mr. Maddox. Yeah, so not too much awesomeness going on there for John Short, but he is Curtis. Let's see what the reception was on Wikipedia. Critical reception was largely negative. Rotten Tomatoes has a film approval of 14%, according to 14 critics. So only 14 critics took the time to review this. I already went through these scores. John Pirellis of the New York Times wrote that by making the machines, malevolence was all... Jesus Christ. By making the machines, malevolence so all-encompassing, so immoral, Mr. King loses the fillip of retribution in better horror films. Why you gotta be so wordy, John Perilous? For the most part, he has taken on a promising notion, our dependence on our machines, and turned it into one long car crunch movie, wheezing from setups to crack-ups. Variety called it the kind of film audiences want to talk back to, the kind that throws credibility out the window in favor of crass manipulation. Unfortunately, master manipulator King, making his directorial debut from his own script, fails to create a convincing enough environment to make the kind of nonsense he's offering here believable or fun. The Los Angeles Times wrote, as long as King is tinkering with his crazed machines, the film sustains a certain amount of ominous tension. But as soon as the author turns his attention to his actors, the movie's slender storyline goes limp. Wow, way to bring in Wang metaphors. Worse still, the movie never really builds up any momentum or jars us with unexpected jolts of horror. The Chicago Tribune gave this 1 out of 4 stars and called it a mess of a movie. King's direction is heavy-handed and his dialogue hackneyed and stiff. Which hackneyed and stiff is a bit hackneyed and stiff, don't you think? If you want to get meta about it, bro. Is like sitting alongside a 3-year-old as he skids his Tonka trucks across the living room floor and says, "Wee!" except on a somewhat grander scale. That's pretty mean. And then he added that Stephen King proves that he hasn't got an ounce of visual style, the vaguest idea of how to direct actors, or the sense that God gave a grapefruit. That's just unnecessary. That's probably why I've never heard of Paul Attanasio. I can't even pronounce your name. How dare you? In Leonard Maltin's annual publication TV movie guide, the film was given a bomb rating. 2 Golden Raspberry nominations, 1 to Emilio Estevez for Worst Actor, 1 to King for Worst Director. I mentioned earlier Prince won both of those for Under the Cherry Moon. John Clute and Peter Nichols have offered a modest reappraisal of Maximum Overdrive, admitting the film's many flaws, but arguing that several scenes display enough visual panache to suggest that King was not entirely without talent as a director. The film was followed by a prequel called Trucks, which aired on the USA Network in 1997. And there's a potential remake by Joe Hill from 2020. He brought that out. So yeah, he's been trying to get that going for a good 4 years now. But if he brought it out in 2020, then yeah, COVID probably hit and everything slowed down on him. Yeah, that's pretty much everything on that. I thank you all for joining me. Well, let's go make sure I haven't left anybody alone on these the chat here. That's what I like about the Book of Eli. Great post-apocalyptic background. Yeah, I like any good like post-apocalyptic movie. The zombie movies, that's actually like my favorite thing about them. So then they started making like diet zombie movies, I call them, which are like a Bird Box or A Quiet Place. You know, they're movies that are pretty much zombie movies. Like the whole world has collapsed and there's monsters attacking people. They just didn't want to like use zombies because it's a tired trope. So anytime the world has collapsed, I'm always interested to see The Road. You ever see The Road? That's another one. It's like, it's pretty cool and interesting. I like seeing what happens. Life After People. There used to be a whole series of shows called Life After People. Book of Eli, thumbs up. I haven't seen that one in a while. I remember getting it confused with what's the one where they're in the diner and the people at the angels attack? Legion? Is that what it's called? Legion is like kind of like a ripoff of this. He's in Diggstown. Had to IMDb it. There you go, Diggstown. Yeah, we talked about that. Diggstown, of course. Yeah. Mikey's Morgue is here. Mikey, welcome, sir. Mikey, I know you love Maximum Overdrive. See a sci-fi. There you go. Let's see what Maximum Overdrive is called on IMDb. It's a no heading. Oh, action, comedy, horror. Google says it's a horror sci-fi. So between the two, we got sci-fi action. But they keep insisting it's horror as well. I think that's where it fails. It's it's supposed to be scarier than it is, but it's just sort of fun instead of scary. But I think that's one of the things a lot of people like about horror movies, right? Like, it either better scare the crap out of me, I better have a good time. Anything else is just a waste. And this is a good time, so I can't hate on it. Hey, Mikey. Hey, Russell. Good day. I'll have a great day down in chat. Take it easy, Russell. You the man, buddy. Michael Myers. Did Clockwork Orange have green credits? I can't think of many other. Yeah, I don't know. That's why it threw me off. The weird green, like chroma. It looked like chroma key to me. It was like, why you got a green background? That's strange. AC/DC produced their hit song by their brother George. I wasn't aware of that. There are a prominent garbage truck in Exterminator 2 with Barney 2. Ginty pimps it up with machine guns. Oh, I should have remembered. The only reason I remember the Exterminator isn't the cover of that first one. He's got like a flamethrower or some shit. Like, it makes it look like it's a way more action-packed movie than it is. But Pulse 1988 is kind of a sister movie where the electrics all come to life. No demonic trucks, though. I do vaguely remember Pulse. Is Pulse a remake of an Asian film? But or did they remake Pulse later in like the thousands or something? Maybe, I don't know. Michael, love the Pulse films. They're on YouTube. Russell knows Pulse. Probably the same critics who shit on The Thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Literally, a lot of times critics at the time when a movie comes out, they crap all over it, and then as like it finds an audience on home video or it finds an audience on cable or whatever, that's when the movies like become cult status. So at the theater, it might only be advertised as like this. It's advertised as like the scary Stephen King movie, and then you go see it, and it's like this wacky sci-fi action laughy thing, right? So, Pulse 88 is pretty good. Poltergeist ripoff. All right, sounds good. Jason's taking off. You have a good one, buddy. I appreciate you hanging out. I'm glad you were here. Like I said, you were in my thoughts when I picked this one. So be sure to go check out our friend Jason, the Ginger Ninja JK. He is the YouTube horror of the month. Horror tuber of the month, I should say. So if you're into horror films, he's a guy you should be following. Good day, Jason. I remember seeing Life After People. Very interesting. Yeah, Russell knows. Yeah, I actually have one of those. Like, I can't remember what it was called. There was one I bought and it shows like, imagine all the people on Earth disappeared at the same time, and they just show what happens. Like, okay, day one, all the planes that are flying around in the sky eventually run out of fuel and start crashing into the Earth. By like day 20, all the electronics and things in the cities have stopped working, so the temperature drops drastically. Like apparently it's 5 degrees warmer in the city than it is in the country because of all the city life action and stuff. And then they say like, on day 10, all the house pets, dogs and cats and stuff, will try to escape their homes and go out, and packs of wild dogs will be roaming. And it's just fascinating to watch like society break down if we weren't here to maintain it. That's why I always like those like abandoned location videos and websites, like people go find a whole like subdivision that's been abandoned for years, and they just walk through these old creepy houses. It's like, post-apocalyptic scariness. The remake is an Asian one. Yes. Okay, good. So I thought there was a Pulse one. Yeah, Exterminator has a flamethrower on the cover, even though he uses it for about 2 seconds in the film. I think that's where I got off track on that one, is I thought it was going to be like this cool kind of they make it seem like it's going to be a Death Wish movie, except the dude's really pissed and he's got a flamethrower instead of a big gun. But instead, it's just Ginty doing Ginty stuff. Let's see here. Hey, Jeff's here. 101 Bronson. Welcome, Jeff. Nice to see you, buddy. Yeah, we're just wrapping up this showing, so I'm glad you popped in. I appreciate you being here. That's my guy. Hey, Bronson. I think there's a later Pulse of no relation to the 80s one. Okay, I was going to say, because I knew in the thousands they came out with one. I think it was an American one. I don't know. Is that? I want to say some like famous singer, isn't it? Not Rihanna, but someone like that. Hey, Jeff. Well, let's find out right now. Pulse movie. 2001 is the one I was thinking of. But then there's a 2006 one as well. Wow, what the hell? 2006 is an American horror film written by Wes Craven. Interesting. It's a remake of Kiyoshi Kurosawa's film, the 2001 one. And then Pulse 2 Afterlife is 2008. And Pulse 3 is 2008. Interesting. 2006. Let me look for Pulse movie. 1988. There you go. So, man, there's a lot of movies called Pulse. Yeah, this one's got electricity all over the cover, so I'm assuming this is the one you're talking about. It says it's an ultimate shocker. Ooh, starring Joey Lawrence and Matthew Lawrence. So it's the Lawrence boys. Oh, man. In today's world of modern conveniences, everything we rely on is run by electricity. But what happens if the power we take for granted turns against us? Old man Halger knows. He claims electricity is a living presence whose voice. Left me hanging on that one. Huh. We learned a lot about Pulse tonight, too. Michael Myers, there it is. Saw it on YouTube. About a little boy. To be fair, Exterminator is pretty inventive. He shreds a guy in a giant industrial mincer. Well, there you go. I think it's time for me to chopping a just industrial mincer myself. I thank all of you for joining me tonight. So many good faces in there, lots of good opinions. We had Video Tasties, Russell, Michael Myers, Franz was here, Jeff was here, all sorts of folks from the Video Tasties universe dropped by. So 101 Bronson, Franz Sanchez 2021, Mikey's Morgue is still here, Jason Ginger Ninja JK, Mayanne, I forgot Mayanne was here for the early part. She was all excited for it, but she got wore out quick. She came to the slumber party, but she couldn't hang. But Mayanne gets an excuse. She's friend of the channel and a constant companion. I can't put down May. Pugwall was here. Matt, for those of you who are not familiar with Matt, your life is missing out. Cinephile Sanity, Sean was here as well. So, I didn't want to miss anybody. You guys were a lively crew tonight. I appreciate it. This is an acquired taste one. I wanted to do something different. I've been doing a bunch of Carpenters lately, and I've been mixing in weird ones from the the AMC Plus and Shudder stuff. So I wanted to go with something big that a lot of people have seen. So this is a good one for that. Oh hell no. Don, do another stream. I just woke up. LOL. Lemonia Demonia. Lemonia Demonia. Our friend Lemonia is a absolute wonderful woman, and we are all lesser people for not having her here while we were doing this tonight. Michael Myers says, great stream, guys. Take it easy. Happy toys forever. I agree. Hey, Russell. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Everybody's taking off except for Lemonia. Me and her are going to hang out and watch a movie. I don't know. I'm going to do a private stream. I'm going to send her a link. But the rest of you, I appreciate you so much for coming. You're the coolest. I don't know how else to explain that to you. As long as nobody else is watching except for the true OG homies, I would like to point out that one of the reasons I like to do these streams late at night is because, as a person who's up late at night, and I'm a single dude, so I don't got a lot of company. So just like having people to talk to, discuss movies with, feel like I got peeps to keep me company, keep me in a good mood, share trivia and our love of stuff. You guys mean a lot to me. So I can't really ever explain how much I appreciate you, but just know it's a lot. So I thank all of you so much. And on that, I will wish every single one of you a great night and green grass and high tides forever.